Welcome to our discussion of ritual. As I was preparing my thoughts on this subject, I considered the emotional impact of spiritual words. Sometimes it feels like certain words evoke a whole lot of emotion, and maybe even misinterpretation or confusion in the spiritual realm. Ritual seems like it might be one of those words. Religion is also one. People may get emotional and maybe even a little closed off at times around words like this. I think we have a need for an open mind. It's better to have an open discussion and really look at what we're talking about. What does it mean? What's its place, if any, in our own world? Our own spiritual practices are going to be deeply personal, and that's okay. They should be, because we need them to be tailored to our unique path. Each of us is going to have a different way of looking at things and doing things. Maybe what we're really talking about is dogma and avoiding being dogmatic. So we take all those absolutes and we kind of throw them out the door. And we know that they don't have a place around us. And we embrace the anti-dogma, knowing that we're empowered to use whatever works best for us. And so let's define rituals. What are they? Can you have anti-dogmatic ritual? Absolutely. But ritual is just bridging the space between our concrete real world and the spiritual realm. It's as simple as that. It's about moving into your interior self with a capital S. Rituals are these symbolic actions that might incorporate physical objects, gestures, or words that are performed with intention and purpose. And you'll probably hear intention several times throughout this video because intention is what it's all about. That's what ritual is. It's being intent on something and being aware of it. And a ritual doesn't always have to be physical or in a dedicated space or anything like that. It can be done anywhere, anytime. They can be carried with us. Rituals vary extensively across cultures. And yet we see this universal human endeavor to seek the divine, understand the unknown, and connect with this transcendent thing beyond us. And that's what I think unites this thread that kind of weaves through all these different cultures and all these rituals. And through these practices, you can express both your gratitude and your desires. You can invite guidance and support and inspiration into your life. You can create this energetic exchange that fosters a sense of oneness with the divine. So what is the advantage of rituals? I think there's, can be a guiding mechanism. They can act as a means to an end, offering this directional point towards our spiritual and personal destinations. And they can ensure that we're aligned and progressing down our intended spiritual and personal path. There's this deep spiritual connection, and we can see that they facilitate a connection and understanding of the divine, the truth, ourself, and they can transcend personal practice without adhering to that to dogma. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be something that is that we're made to do or that we have to do. It's just something that we want to do. And they can be an emotional and psychological anchor, providing grounding that reduces anxiety and stress, and serve as this consistent practice that keeps us centered in difficult times. So if you're going through a hard time and you are doing a ritual, it might remind you, hey, you're going through a hard time, even if you don't know it. Because sometimes we're going through a hard time or we're experiencing something, we don't even realize it. We're not aware of it. And that's ritual fostering stability amidst change. It can act as this continuity during transitions and uncertainty. And that gives us this sustaining balance amidst life's ebb and flow. And there can be, with ritual, a creation of belonging and connectivity. You can carve spaces of belonging and connection with your own self, your being, oneness with the universe, or potentially with others around you. And it can be a community thing or a collective journey that gives you this unified experience that goes beyond your individual practice if you want it to. That's your choice. And think about consistent rhythms. You forge these routines in your daily lives. And that's, if you're conducting this ritual, then maybe your other habits, your other routines, they come along and they go easier. And it's also about embracing the present moment. And that's huge in the spiritual world, is being present, living today. And so you let go of distractions, preoccupations, and you bring your full attention through ritual to these sensations, emotions, and these experiences that come up as you're practicing. And that can lead to personal growth. As you engage in sacred practices with intention, You have this sacred space that transcends this common real world, and it elevates your awareness to a whole other plane. And it can also serve as a mirror where you see reflected back to you your own beliefs, values, and intentions. And so, as you actively participate in rituals, you're reaffirming your own commitment to your spiritual growth, and you're aligning your actions with your higher purpose or your dharma. And so you're living what you were meant to live, whatever that higher purpose for you is. And science actually supports the practice of some rituals, such as mindfulness meditation or journaling. Journaling can be extremely powerful. We have a whole section of our Kishar spiritual community online that's dedicated to the power of journaling. And we have a support group for journaling. It's actually quite rich. If you guys appreciate this content we're making here, please subscribe by hitting the watermark in the lower right-hand corner of your video, or you can subscribe on our channel page. And if you like this, please share this content with your friends and family who you think might benefit from it. We'd really appreciate it. And so back to ritual, what could your ritual be? Maybe you don't have an idea of where to start. Maybe you're thinking, I don't have any concept of what I might do. So consider the diversity in rituals across cultures, across the geographic regions of the planet. And so here are some options. You have meditation, practicing stillness, and connecting with your inner self through a whole array of techniques. There's all kinds of meditation, from breathing exercises. I had a problem. I was having a really hard time when I was deployed to Kandahar, Afghanistan, and it was just real tough for me. And a friend of mine recommended something they call combat breathing. And so I looked into it and I started practicing this combat breathing, and all it was meditative breathing. And it brought calm and peace to me. It helped even me out and get me through this very difficult time that I was going through. It was very meaningful to me. There's mindfulness practice, where you bring awareness to this present moment. And if you ritualistically practice mindfulness every day, you're going to start to see how it transcends beyond your practice, and you're going to start to be more mindful outside of meditation, outside of the ritual. And that can be very empowering. It can really be helpful in your day-to-day activities. There's visualization, picturing yourself in an environment that is peaceful and serene to you. There's energy clearing. You might look into chakra meditations. There's aromatherapy, where you could use a diffuser with a certain essential oils. Ritual bathing, maybe a nice hot bath, maybe a candle, a bath pillow, something very comfortable. Maybe that's ritualistic for you. We talked about journaling. There's other things that you can do for self-reflection. You can sit and be introspective and think, what are my thoughts? What are my feelings? What am I experiencing right now? What's important? And kind of sort it out. There's gratitude practice, where you sit down and ritualistically say, I'm grateful for this, and this, and here's why I'm grateful for it, and here's why I should be grateful for it. And that can be very meaningful, very moving. Affirmations can be very powerful. The spoken word can have significant influence over you. If you verbally stand in front of the mirror in the morning and say an affirmation, that could be customized to you. You can make up your own affirmation, or you can get one off the internet. That can be very impactful to your day. You might have a completely different day if you do an affirmation. You can sit and reflect on your personal goals. What are you looking to accomplish? How are you going to get there? What do you want to do? Setting intentions. A few moments where you just say, here's what I'm going to do today. It can change your whole day. Manifestation and law of attraction. The universe responds to your thoughts and feelings. And so if you ritualistically sit down and think, I'm going to be positive, you're going to attract positive in your life, because you're a magnet for what you are, what you're being. So if you're being positive, if you have that energy, what you seek is also seeking you. So just remember that. Releasing negative emotions. You could sit down and say, I'm going to sit here, find my negative feelings and emotions. I'm going to let go of them. And that's kind of leading into the thought of practicing forgiveness. That can also be very empowering. And then, what are your limiting beliefs? Ask yourself what's holding you back. Any negative core beliefs, just let them go. And think about the body. You've got movement or exercise, anything that's intentional movement and motion, whether it's walking, yoga, it could be rowing, jogging. There's connection with nature and Earth's energy. You just go out and spend time intentionally in nature and be present there. That can be very ritualistic. Connecting with the elements, and you're honoring things such as earth, air, fire, or water. Think about the Gaia theory that the earth is alive. The earth is this organism that is a living, breathing thing that we're a part of, and be kind of like one with that. It's a really interesting practice. Connecting with the divine, sitting down and maybe chanting mantras, some prayer or meditation or worship that connect you to your higher self, to the divine, or that oneness, whatever you want to call it. There's creative expression where you engage in painting or drawing or other forms of art that really move you and put you in a place that is very spiritual for you. And maybe you even create your own spells. Magic isn't supernatural. Magic is absolutely natural. You are magic. And I think as children we knew that. I think we lose sight of that as we get older. And so this isn't a comprehensive list at all. It's just a whole world of options that I think it's worth putting out there so you can kind of think, what can I do? What might I do? And then there's spaces or altars in a ritualistic practice. While you don't have to have a dedicated space, something like an altar isn't necessary. If you do create a dedicated space for rituals, it can help maintain your routine. Something like a space or an altar can serve as this focus point to help move you along your spiritual path. It is a space that can be very personal and very deeply enriching for you. And the items or the arrangement can be things that you choose and that should resonate with your own beliefs and your own aesthetic preferences. And so I wanted to give you some ideas for spiritual altars or spaces to maybe inspire you. So let's just think about some general elements. Maybe sacred objects, statues, icons, images of deities or angels or spiritual guides. It could be an image of an ancestor. You've got natural elements, plants, flowers, stones, crystals, feathers that might connect you with nature. Texts such as books, written affirmations, journals, lighting with candles, lanterns, anything that can symbolize illumination and guidance. You have scents such as incense, sage, essential oils, or diffusers that can really create a serene atmosphere around you. Sound can be part of it if you want, with bells or singing bowls, maybe a small speaker or your phone to play meditative music or classical music. It could be classic rock, whatever moves you and gets you in that spiritual rhythm that you want to get into. Think about textures and textiles. You could have cushions or a rug, cloth, whatever makes the space most usable and progressive for you. And then there's some themed altar ideas that I wanted to run by you guys, just so you can think about, here's what I might do. There's a Zen altar. You could have a Buddha statue or some symbol of serenity, a bamboo bonsai tree or peaceful plant life, simple candles and an incense holder, maybe even a small water fountain that gives the presence of flowing water. You could have a healing altar that has crystals or such things like quartz or amethyst, images of healing or spiritual figures that relate to healing. You could have lighting like light blue light that has these soothing color accents, maybe some healing herbs or plants like aloe vera. There's an elemental altar. You could have separate sections that represent, earth or water, fire, air, and those things can be very moving and connect you with Mother Earth and Gaia. You could have a chakra altar with colorful cloths, candles, objects that represent each of the 7 chakras, maybe crystals associated with each chakra or symbols related to each one. And then you could go through a process where you check in with your body and yourself and have kind of a body scan meditation where you cleanse these chakras and make sure that you're operating in a unified and aligned way. You could have a nature altar with stones or leaves, artwork of trees or landscapes. The sky is really the limit when it comes to your own personal ritual space or altar. Think about rituals as a connection with the divine. How does any given ritual connect you with the divine or your inner self or the universe? Think about that. It will be unique to you and should reflect that question. How does a ritual impact your communication and creating oneness with the same? How is it helping you? And how do you remain open to exploration and trust your intuition? So are you open to this process? Are you ready to move forward and kind of delve into that spiritual realm? And that takes me back to what we talked about earlier, which is intention. What are you looking at getting out of the ritual, and what do you want to achieve? How does that align with your values, your beliefs, and your goals, or anything else in your life? And that's thinking about the transformative power where you use rituals to promote renewal and transformation. They can help you navigate change with grace. And as you go through that process, again, think about embracing change and the transition that's going to come as you practice, and be ready for it. With all that in mind, you think, okay, I'm going to design my personal ritual. How am I going to do that? Well, you've got some ideas now. So now reflect on your personal spiritual journey and your core values. Make a list of your core values that are the most significant to you. Actually write them down. And then recognize and assess your spiritual beliefs and goals. Write those down. List out what your beliefs are. And make a list of what your goals are. And then identify what your intention is, where you're going, and then align that with the ritual. And then you've got something where you set yourself up for success. And so just keep in mind the vital role of rituals in your own personal spiritual growth, if that's something for you. If not, that's okay too. And explore, adopt some, adapt, and see what works for you. And if you are able, go ahead and share your experiences with rituals or your plans. Here's what I plan to do. Here's what I've done that worked and didn't work. Because having a conversation is really what we're all about here at Kishar. So if you comment below in the comments about your thoughts on this talk about rituals, we'd really appreciate it. Please visit us at kishar.org for more great content and a vibrant community discussing spirituality every day, subjects like this and much more. And if you like this video, we'd appreciate just hitting the like button, and we'll keep making content just like this. And until next time, I wish you peace on your journey.